Hey everyone! Welcome to the third episode of the Conscious Insight podcast. I'm your host, Katy Lily Rossland, a college student majoring in neuroscience and physics. It's the afternoon here on a Thursday in Temple University. Sun is setting, just got off class, doing some studies. Finding the time to log this podcast in. I've always been that kid asking the big questions, like, what is consciousness? Why do we meditate, and does it actually change our brains? Or is there something more spiritual going on beneath all the science? Today, we're diving deep into the state of consciousness science, the real value of meditation from a neuroscientific perspective, and we'll take a close look at the work of Marjorie Woollacott specifically, a neuroscientist who's bridged the gap between hard science and spiritual experiences. I'm super excited because this stuff challenges everything I thought I knew about the mind. Let's get into it. First off, let's talk about where consciousness science stands right now in 2025. It's such a hot field. We've seen some groundbreaking experiments this year alone. For instance, a landmark study published in April found that consciousness might emerge more from perceptual processes in the back of the brain rather than the frontal lobes where we handle planning and higher thinking. This challenges popular theories like global workspace theory and integrated information theory, suggesting that awareness isn't just about integrating information across the brain, but could involve specific perceptual ignition points, maybe even in the thalamus. Analytically speaking, this shifts our focus from smart executive functions to how we simply perceive the world. And get this, there's emerging talk about quantum waves playing a role in consciousness, proposing that it's not just neurons firing, but resonant brain waves creating that subjective experience we call I. All right, here's where I get all inquisitive and questioning about stuff. If consciousness arises from these waves, does that mean it's more fundamental to the universe than we think? Or are we just scratching the surface of a bigger mystery? Now, tying into that, let's explore the value of meditation. As someone who's tried it during stressful exam weeks, I can tell you it feels transformative. But what's the science saying? Neuroscience shows that mindfulness meditation strengthens emotion regulation and slashes stress levels by rewiring frontolimbic networks. It boosts white matter in the brain, which is like upgrading your neural highways for better connectivity. Studies even link it to reduced anxiety and depression symptoms, improved attention, and overall well-being. A fresh 2025 study from Mount Sinai revealed changes in deep brain areas tied to memory and emotional regulation after consistent practice. Let's be a bit more analytical here. This isn't just feel-good fluff. It's measurable neuroplasticity. Meditation seems to quiet the default mode network, that chatty part of your brain responsible for mind wandering, and amps up areas for focus and empathy. But why stop at the practical benefits? This leads us straight into the spiritual side of things. Consciousness itself is this elusive beast. Is it just brain activity or something more? Traditional neuroscience often views it as an emergent property of complex neural networks, but recent debates question if it's the hallmark of life, especially with AI getting scarily good at mimicking us. Circuit-level theories are evolving, like apical amplification or dendritic integration, but they're still being tested in humans. And here's where it gets spiritual. What if consciousness isn't confined to the brain? Now enter Marjorie Woollacott, a neuroscientist whose work blows my mind. Dr. Woollacott is an emeritus professor of human physiology at the University of Oregon and a member of the Institute of Neuroscience. She started as a hardcore materialist. You know, everything's just atoms and neurons, like I explained in my episode 1 of this podcast series. But her personal experiences with meditation since have led her to flip the script. In her book, Infinite Awareness, The Awakening of a Scientific Mind, she weaves her research with her own spiritual awakening. She describes how, during meditation, she had mystical experiences that expanded her awareness beyond the physical body, challenging the idea that consciousness is brain-bound. Let's deep dive into her materials. Woollacott's journey began with a profound meditation experience that felt like tapping into an infinite awareness, a sense of unity and boundless mind. As a scientist, she couldn't ignore it, so she started researching how meditation affects the brain. Her work shows that practices like mindfulness can alter the brain's filtering system, which normally limits our awareness to survival-relevant info. She draws from studies on near-death experiences, NDEs, psychedelics, and long-term meditators, suggesting that these states reduce the brain's reducing valve, a concept from Aldous Huxley, allowing access to broader consciousness. One of her current projects is studying people who've had NDEs and how that sparks a meditation practice, exploring long-term changes in consciousness. Let's be even more analytical into this. I love it. This bridges neuroscience and spirituality. If the brain filters consciousness rather than produces it, then spiritual experiences aren't hallucinations. They're glimpses of a larger reality. Woollacott's experiments on meditation's effects show measurable shifts in brain activity, like enhanced gamma waves linked to heightened awareness. How interesting, right? I wonder, could this explain why meditators report feeling connected to something greater? Her book argues for a non-local consciousness, where the mind isn't trapped in the skull, but interacts with a universal field. Wrapping this up, consciousness science in 2025 is pushing boundaries. Meditation offers proven neuro benefits, and thinkers like Woollacott remind us that spirituality and science aren't enemies. They're partners in understanding the mind. If you're as hooked as I am, try a short meditation session and see what insights bubble up. My yoga meditations have been doing me wonders. Thanks for tuning in to my Conscious Insight podcast. Your humble host, Katie, signing off. Drop a thought in the comments or wherever. Until next time, be seeing ya. Got it done. Third one. Getting the hang of this.